the beauty of places like Aberavon is, it's filled with rugby clubs. There's probably 5, 6, 7, even 8 clubs all in 5-10 minutes of each other. So it's a rugby knit community, and you want to give back to the community by playing good rugby and getting them people through the door.
He says the right things, doesn't he?
Tell some traders. Never like this before you went to Hartbury.
Welcome to another episode of The Cauldron, the official Aberavon Rugby podcast, brought to you by Trade Centre Wales. This is the first take of the intro, I promise. 2 big guests today. Defence coach. I got to do more as an attacking flair man, Nick.
Yeah, I've done both over my time. But yeah, always had more of a passion for the defensive side of the game, which is an ironic thing for a non-tackling 10, which is where I was back in the days.
So you and Swank had an alpha off, you won, and you got defence and he got attack.
I think it was more that Swank fancies himself as more of the flair.
Okay.
Look, Swank's very, very good at the attack stuff. And I think it was just natural, really. I don't know how many people know, but he did both a few seasons ago, and that's a tough gig. Like, to do both sides of the ball is really difficult. So when the opportunity came up to do defence, I think it was an easy win for me, or definitely something I was going to be snatching at Aberavon.
We've got really deep really early there. So Nick is our first guest. Our second guest is brand new signing, superstar standoff points machine. It's a big intro, that. Keillen Cullen.
Very big. Yeah. Hello. Great to be here.
Well, great to have you back this side of the bridge, mate, because you've been over the other, not too far over the other side, a little bit with Gloucester, a lot with Hartbury. You've won a lot of rugby matches and a few trophies. So how does it feel to be back in Wales?
Yeah, it's great. I always knew it'd be a point where I'd come back, just didn't know when, and it's kind of fit in that, it was, at the tail end of my Hartbury career, and it felt like the right time. That's what I've said to everyone. I've done the 5 years up in Hartbury over the other side of the bridge, and I think it's the right time to come home now.
So Nick, Keillen is the Buck Super Rugby top point scorer. Do you know how I know that?
Allegedly, he's the top point. No, I'm joking. No, go on. Enlighten me.
He told me.
Of course he does. Of course he does.
So,
of course he does.
So, played an instrumental role in Hartbury lifting the Cut Trophy. Brilliant performance in the final against Loughborough at Rodney Parade. And then afterwards, he's in my DMs like, mate, do you know who the highest points total scorer is? And then we went through all of his stats over the seasons, and I had to match them up with Simon Cruz, who is the stats man for Buck Super Rugby. And we eventually came to the conclusion, but it could be officially announced because it was driven by the numbers of the man next to me. But it's an accolade worth having, right?
That's what you work for, I guess, isn't it? As a fly half. Well, it's credit to the boys really for scoring so many tries or getting so many penalties when you got boys like Matthew Hillary and Harry Beddle over the ball to win you penalties to take the 3, or got Corbin Smith and Wilf and Knighton and stuff, boys who score loads of tries, and it's your job to kick it through the post and do the easy stuff. So,
and it's really interesting, some of the names you mentioned there and the direction that their rugby journeys are taking post Buck Super Rugby as well. So let's start with how we got here, Nick, because I think you played an instrumental role in that as well.
I think Jace will take all the credit for signing Keillen, but I think we all know the truth behind it. But no, look, worked a long time ago. Keillen and I worked together when I was head coach Osprey's age grade. So I first came across a 15-year-old skinny 10 that apparently had a siege gun boot, so went out and had a look at him at his local club that he's playing for at the time, Loughborough. And yeah, he certainly did have that, which is a standout sort of characteristic. You won from your 10 anyway, but I think probably the biggest thing for me with Keillen was when we're getting a new influx of under 16s every single year, you don't typically get a young man walk through the door with the confidence that he had, but also the
the personality he had to go with it. And what I mean by that is, you know, he would come in and shake your hand, ask how the family was. It was like speaking to one of your mates, you know. These young 60-year-olds don't really have that coming in. So that was a standout, I suppose, early doors. But, you know, the rugby stuff after that, his IQ was evident. You know, the way he wanted to play the game from 10 was evident. And I guess probably, you know, it helps as well that he was surrounded by quality in that team also, you know, like Roger Lewis, who's now with the Scarlets, Cian Abraham, Clea Morgan, you know, the list, Harry Houston, a certain Morgan Morse was in that group as well. So, you know, it was a really talented age group that came into the door, but, you know, Keillen's talent was evident from the outset, really.
A lot of fun toys to play with as a Thames in that Ospreys group. What about going over the bridge originally for you then? Because, you know, decisions have to be made when you're a young man. It's all worked out well. You're still in rugby. You're still making your way towards what you hope will be the goal at the end of it. So how big a decision was for you to leave round?
Yeah, it was huge. I went up with a few of the lads Nick just mentioned for like the trial or assessment day for Hartbury College, and got accepted and got offered a place there, you know, on a scholarship, and turned it down to start with. Just felt, you know, it'd be more fitting to stay at home and stay in the Osprey setup, be with my family and probably be in my comfort zone. Obviously being 16, never been away from home. And then, you know, good amounts of peer pressure from my family and from my friends, and watching rugby from over the other side of the bridge, you know, it made me realise it's not going to harm nothing if I go over there. And like I said, when I sat down with Nick and with Jace, you know, about signing to Aberavon, I don't regret the 5 years that I've spent over there, and I don't regret pulling myself out of, you know, the setups I was in back here to go over there. I think it's only, you know, matured me as a player and a person, and it's kind of created the person I am today, I think.
Do you feel as though it's going to be an invite? I mean, I know you've been involved with training, you've met a lot of the lads, but you've not played a game for Aberavon yet. Do you feel as though it's an environment you're going to be immediately comfortable in?
Oh, 100%. You know, from both players to coaches to backroom staff to, you know, committee members of the club, speaking to everyone so far, everyone is on the same page. Everyone's got the same goals, got the same mindset, ambition, but everyone has a laugh as well. It's not, you know, you're coming in, it's a serious environment. Everyone's there to play rugby and to win. That's what you play rugby for. But the friendships that are there already, and the friendships that new guys like myself have made already, kind of just sum up the environment. And I think it's one, you know, anyone would be lucky to be a part of, I think.
As a coaching group then, how do you go about bringing everyone together? Because you've got lads who've been Aberavon man and boy, you've got players who are coming in from academies into this senior environment. You've got boys like Keillen who've come from Buck Super Rugby. So it is a real melting pot from local lads who've never left the area to, you know, boys who've gone to very expensive public schools the other side of the bridge who are coming in. It's a real different group of people who've all got to come together. So how do you go about cultivating that environment?
I think people will probably want us to say something really clever and scientific here, but there isn't. And the reason I say that is Jace touched on it on a previous podcast around the recruitment. It's not just about the player, it's about the person. So we get the right people through the door. That sort of stuff is easy. They're good lads, you know, they're sociable, they're personable, they care deeply, you know, and they're good rugby players. The person first is probably the critical part. And there's no real science or any need to try and force that from a coaching group. And you've got good lads who want to pull together and do the right thing for the club and for themselves as well.
What are you going to expect from him defensively?
Not a lot. No, I'm cool. Yeah, look, Keillen's probably doesn't get the credit for the other parts of his game. Everyone sees the points, but he's an astute attacker. He's very technical, very tactical, and that's both sides of the ball as well. He's not. He's certainly not a guy that shirks a tackle, which is definitely why I wanted to bring him here.
All the things that he's said about you, he's been very nice actually, because the microphones are on and he knows he can't swear. But the characteristics that he's pointed out as a coach, do they ring true with you as well? Is that how you see yourself as a player and an individual?
I guess, yeah, in some ways you do, in some ways you try not to think too highly of yourself, or, you know, being ground level and stuff like that. But it's good to know that coaches think that of you, and you know the bits that you do see in yourself is recognised. Otherwise, you'd be worrying if you were not doing enough, or if you are doing enough. And a lot of the characteristics that Nicholas spoke about is probably learned from being coached by him, you know, at such a young age, or being coached by other coaches. So you naturally add them assets to your armory, I think.
Stay humble. No, it never does. Yeah, wait till he scores 25 points on his debut, and then
his boots in the change room Saturday,
yeah, exactly.
You know.
So with regards to where you're getting players from, then whether it is the, you know, we've talked about already, academies, Buck Super Rugby, senior players moving from other SRC clubs, do you think they can all learn from the different cultures of rugby? So, you know, you've travelled to play.
Yeah, 100%. Like you touched on it earlier on. I had Dunford last year, and where he came from, where he grew up, and then you got boys that have been on the coalface in Tartar Steel. Like you know, they can all learn something from each other. But I think if you started building, what I'm trying to get at is if you started building a group of players that were all very similar, characteristics-wise, personality-wise, you'd only get one sort of way of playing, as you need a slice of everything to be able to have an all-round game, and that's what we want. We want an all-court game, and you've got to have all types of players and all types of people to drive that as well.
It's a heck of a place, you know. I mean, I've got to admit, I've only ever been here by some freak of chance. I've only ever been here when the sun has been shining and has been absolutely. It is.
Stay then.
Yeah, but it's an amazing place to experience rugby. I've never played on the pitch, but there's some great rugby there. But I've been there on a match day when it's blazing hot. It's a beautiful place to experience rugby.
Yeah, 100%. Like you know, for me, that first game we had at home in pre-season last year, that was an eye opener for me. Like what a stunning venue the Tag is, and supporters are amazing. You know, we played RGC last year. We stayed up overnight on the Friday night, wake up on the Saturday morning, and the hardcore supporters are in the same hotel as us, you know. So you put those two things together, you got a hell of a recipe for a stunning venue with a good crowd, and that's why boys want to play. That's where we want to be as coaches, you know. You want those kind of environments to be at, don't you?
Well, I tell you what, it's amazing that there's enough money around here that you can all afford the Marriott. So,
no comment.
Have you sort of had a good look around and a kick at the polls and everything?
Well, when we were in Ospreys 16s, we played there. Our Ospreys West side played against the Ospreys East, so I've only actually played there once. You know, I've been to the Tag and, you know, looked around and seen all of it. And you know, it's a big pitch, so it's lovely for a kicking game. You know, when appropriate. So that's all the time. But no, it's great. And like Nick said, the support is always good. And I think the beauty of places like Aberavon is, you know, it's filled with rugby clubs. You know, there's probably 5, 6, 7, even 8 clubs all you know, in 5-10 minutes of each other. So it's a rugby knit community, and you know, you want to give back to the community by playing good rugby and getting them people through the door.
He says the right things, doesn't he?
Tell some traders.
I'm just
never like this before you went to Hartbury.
Hey, look, less advertising for them. There's enough Welsh players going. Do you know, I was actually, I was thinking about this when I was going for a run yesterday. It wasn't a very long run and I didn't do much thinking, but some of the players the Welsh players who've gone to Hartbury and done incredibly well. So Rhys Samet was a Hartbury boy. Morgan Morris was Hartbury, wasn't he? Alex Cuthbert. So, you know, there's plenty of boys who go over it and do well and come back. But hearing you mention RGC there, it's a hell of a bus journey, that is, isn't it?
Yeah, savage.
You take your sickness pills before that one. There's not a lot of dual carriageway, that's for sure.
The up and back in one day is horrendously bad, particularly if you've not managed to get a win up there Saturday afternoon. But yeah, like I said, last year the club were ever so kind to allow us to stay up there, and that made that one a hell of a lot easier. So yeah, we had a decent trip up there last year.
Did you paint Colwyn Bay red?
Not quite. No, I won't talk about that. No.
Because some of the away trips in Buck Super Rugby, particularly from Hartbury, which is not the easiest place to get to by motor vehicle, but Durham away, Leeds away. Those are big old stretches.
Yeah, I'm lucky enough I've never played at RGC. We played them at home for Osprey 16s. But you know, if it matches anything like playing Durham away on a Wednesday night, then you know it's not going to be the nicest place to go. You know, 6.5, 7 hours on a bus, leaving at 9, 10 o'clock in the morning to go and play at 6:30 in the night, and then you get up there and it's freezing cold. It's pitch. You leave you leave when it's dark and get up there when it's dark. So, but yeah, like you said there, Beckett, you got to go down to Exeter. But I think all the travels when you play games of rugby make your games even more special. You know, when you've got to travel to these places, whether it's 5-10 minutes down the road or 6-7 hours up the road, then you know, especially if you win, it makes it all.
Who's in charge of travel logistics for the club?
I think Jace does it, actually.
Okay.
It's either Jace or Steve. I'm not sure which one.
Because there's a good few years ago now, but you mentioned Exeter there. They were playing Northumbria and they booked flights from Bristol Airport.
Okay.
And so they got the bus from Exeter to Bristol, which is not a small journey in and of itself. Got to the Bristol Airport, realised that they booked the flights for the wrong day. So the coaches had to go back to Exeter, and then they've coached from Exeter to Kingston Park.
Wow.
Yeah.
So there's a wild rumour with Swank that apparently Swank flies to these games up Luzerne from Cardiff Airport, and the squad have to travel on bus. I don't know if there's any.
Sounds like Swan.
Well, he probably gets the helicopter from Llanrumney to Kincoed, I'd have thought. That'll be, yeah. And also, he didn't turn up today, and he was supposed to, so he's not here to defend himself. No. And whose fault is that?
That's not ours. It's not ours.
Definitely not ours.
What about the other lads that are coming in there? Because how old are you?
21.
21. So you're actually under the average age of the squad, which you'd expect a 21-year-old tend to be. But the fact that the average age of the squad is 22 in a senior program, and the captain's 29, so he boosts that average age up massively. That is that's quite the accomplishment, and that can't have been particularly easy to achieve.
No, and credit to Jace on this. Like the work that gets through to, you know, whether that's recruitment or it's coaching or whatever it is that he's doing, he does a hell of a lot of work behind the scenes to make this club operate in the way that it does. The recruitment stuff, you know, the average age is something that we're really proud of. And for me, certainly as a coach, having, you know, guys Keillen's age, they're hungry, they want to learn. It's a coach's dream when you've got players that, you know, that want to learn. So I think that lends itself. Last year, we learned a lot of tough lessons, you know, in certain games, but I think that will stand us in good stead for this season. And then for the new boys coming in, learning to be part of this club and to learn to play the Aberavon way, I'm sure with the talent that we've brought in, they'll get up to speed pretty quickly and will help boost that as well. But, you know, like I said, for coaches, certainly to have young lads that are aspiring pro rugby players that, you know, just want to learn and want to get better, they're hungry, it just ramps training up massively. And that's, that's pretty special for us.
And so for you, Keillen, I mean, you're coming into a senior program, going to be playing senior rugby, but the age profile of the team is actually going to be very similar to what it was in the team you've been playing in for the last 2 or 3 years with Hartpury, isn't it?
Yeah, and I think that's where these environments in senior rugby is probably that next step up from what anyone, certainly around my age or boys even younger than me who are coming in now, is different to anything they've done before. It's where you've got to combine youthful excitedness with maturity and experience and put them both together to define a squad. And I think from, you know, what I've seen and what I've been a part of so far, I don't think there's no missing gaps in that. And I think it's the beauty of this new SRC setup is giving young boys the opportunity to play with more experienced players, but express themselves in a league full of their own.
Also, there's definitely some lads at Hartpury that are about my age. 100%. People now, you've done so well to get out, mate. Some people never leave.
It's a suit.
I think they were kicking you out, weren't they? We were trying to get rid of you, weren't they?
A couple of years ago.
All right, then. Let's talk about the season then. Actually, no, I'll come back to that because I want to talk about you because you make no bones about your ambition and your aspiration, which is to be a full-time professional rugby player. You're a coach of this team and you want the team to do as well as possible, and for the team to do as well as possible, then Keillen playing at 10 would certainly help that. So for somebody to come into the program and say, look, if all goes according to plan, I'm not going to be here in 1 season, 2 seasons, 3 seasons time. Is that a problem?
Not at all. Not at all. And I think, any decent coach out there will want their players to progress and get better. And if that means them going on to bigger and better things, then, amazing. What a part we've played in that for Keillen, and I think it's always easier when they're good guys, that deserve those opportunities as well, and they've worked hard like Keillen has to get them. So, if someone comes in and he ends up playing pro rugby at the end of this season or next season, so be it, and we'll help him and push him on with our best wishes for certain. Selfishly, of course, you'd want him to stay and you'd want him to still be part of that team, but I think you've got to take that hat off at some point, and this is, or certainly the XRC is about developing players. So if we're helping develop Keillen to becoming a pro, then we've played our part in that and we send him on with our best.
And is that support one of the reasons why this was the right move for you right now?
100%. Like working with Nick and Swank and stuff before, and the chats I had with Jace, it all fitted right. It all matched my ambitions, and it all comes together. And people may say it's like a stepping stone to where you want to get to, but yes, it might be that. But my full commitment and determination is here with Aberavon before anything else. This is where I'm signed. This is where I'll be playing my rugby. So this is where my full focus is, certainly this season.
So what you're saying is, if the Ospreys wanted to sign you for 200 grand a year and send you on loan here, that'd be ideal for everyone.
I'd want a 10% fee of that.
I can't believe you've only gone for 10%. You could have squeezed in for 15 easy.
To be fair, yeah.
Up front, after tax.
I could have.
What about the season then for you? As a defensive coach, as a fan of the club, what do you want?
Look, let's make no bones. This is about results, right?
Yeah.
And that's what it's going to come down to. I think last year we picked up some results at the end of the year that we probably should have been doing all year. The Ebervale game at home, Pontypool as well. Winning those two. We were close, but no cigar a lot of the times last year. But I think if we can learn, or certainly for me, for defence, if we can learn the lessons from those games and they can kick us on for this season, then, we should be in a really good spot. And I'm really excited about, this group. It's my second season as well. It's taken me a year to sort of find my feet with the squad and the coaching group. But, I'm really, really excited and sort of, there's a lot of positivity around what we're doing at the moment, and hopefully that reflects in the games and we can get the results.
What about for you?
I think for me, coming in as a new player, in a new group, in a new league, in a new environment, everything is brand new, and it's almost coming in and trying to add my game into, the ambitions of the coaches, and wherever I can fit in best and whatever I can do to take the team forward and add a bit of something maybe they were missing last season.
Things change, but some things remain the same. Does goal kicking remain the same no matter where you are or what league you're in or what ball you're using?
No, it's totally different. Totally different. No, it's the same for the kicker. It should be the same. It's the same. You're going for the same outcome every time. All of your process should be the same. Whether you're playing in front of 20 people or 20,000 people, it shouldn't matter what anyone's shouting or what anyone's saying behind you, and you've got to log in for that 30 seconds or a minute, whatever it is. And it's exciting now. I get to do it in a new league and new balls.
Have you got to go with the match balls yet?
No, I haven't. So
I'm breaching your trust a little bit here, but I hope you won't mind. So I've already told you about him trying to make sure that he was the top scorer in Buck Super Rugby. But before the final, he was messaging me saying, "Mate, do you know where I can get a match ball so I can do some practicing?" And that is detailed, process driven, exactly what you want from your kicker.
Yeah, 100%. And that showed in Keillen from a very young age. You get 60 new players every year. At the end of 16s come through the door. There's not many 10s that would
come and ask you, can I have a bag of the balls we're going to be playing with so I can take them back to Bonamine and kick them into the snow, wind, sun, and all the rest of it that comes up there. But you know, Keillen and I, we would do kicking sessions together in Bonamine at 16, and that attention to detail was evident at a very young age, and obviously, you know, hasn't left either. It's probably got a bit more intense, I'd have thought, over the last couple of years.
Just a little bit.
Yeah. But no, and that is what you want from a player, right? You know, we as coaches, we spend a lot of time analysing footage, coaching on the pitch, whether that's putting documents together, and you want players to pay the attention to those things to improve the team, to improve individual performances. And, you know, that's one of the reasons we wanted to bring Keillen here, was that he's definitely that guy.
Do you get frustrated with players? And I'm not going to ask you for names here because that's not fair, but in a squad of 23 on a match day, 30, 40 at Hartbury, 600, however many rugby players are there, do you get frustrated when players don't give it the same attention that you do?
I think you'd be wrong to not get frustrated, because that shows you care and it shows you're passionate, but then it's what you do with that frustration and, you know, how you show it, kind of thing. Everyone's different. Everyone is different in many ways, especially when it comes to rugby. You know, me and our drops into like Reece Price, our scrum half, he's very same to me, as everything's very detailed. He's very passionate, and you know, you might have other lads then who kind of go through the motions and take their time, bide their time, and then, you know, when it comes to game day, they're bang out the box and one of the best players on the pitch. And you've got people like that, then you almost don't want to try and add things to their game because it might not work for them, and you don't want to take things away from them. And I don't think anyone should be the same, or I don't think anyone should do something just because it looks good. I think, like I said, everyone's their own person, and you do things to what makes you feel comfortable. And sadly, I've got to do all the detailed things because that's what makes me tick. So yeah.
And coaching wise, again, you've got that big room, all kinds of characters and personalities. Which are the ones that frustrate you the most?
Wow, you're allowed to say my name.
No, I won't. I won't. I don't think there's particularly anyone in our group that would frustrate you as a coach. Like, you know, that, like I said earlier on, that age group that we've got, they're all really hungry and they're all really sort of ambitious as well. So there's no one really in there that, you know, would frustrate you on that level. I think credit to the guys that we've got in our environment, and again, this probably goes back to something Jace has mentioned as well, is having the right people, and we haven't got any people in that we don't want, and we know that the personalities that we've got in there are all ambitious, they are all incredibly detailed, and I suppose that makes our job a little bit easier then, you know.
Okay, this time, don't look in the media handbook, right? I mean, like a type of player. So you've got a player like Keillen, who is really process driven, and it's evident because he is hopefully going to reach his full potential and be a professional rugby player, and he's going to kick at 90% for the rest of his career. But then you've got the guys who, you know, they'll phone it in at training, but then all of a sudden they're rock stars on the pitch.
Yeah, those would frustrate me. Yeah, that was only like probably from when I was playing. I was a bit like him. I had to work hard, you know, I had to try and learn, I had to lift better, or you know, I wasn't very strength and condition, I wasn't very blessed in that area, so I had to work hard at those things. But you would be frustrated at the guys that could just rock up, put their boots on the side of the pitch and go on and have 80 minutes out of this world, you know. So
he's done arms today, isn't he?
He hasn't.
100% he's done arms.
Only
Every day.
Right then, boys. Final messages, hopes and dreams for the seasons, messages for the fans, something that you'd really like to get off your chest. Now is your time.
Yeah, no, the fans. It does make a difference. It makes a huge difference actually. To hear them supporting the boys, whether that's at home or away, it does make a huge difference. So if they, you know, can get behind us again this season, and particularly that first game away to Aberavon, that would be very much appreciated. But I don't think there's anything else after that for me. I'll keep Keillen on a leash and hope he behaves himself. That'll be nice.
Oh, it's gonna
These
get
Bonamine boys can be a bit.
It's gonna get kicked this season, isn't it? It's gonna get kicked. Any game you're particularly looking forward to, or any team you're particularly looking forward to playing?
I think all eyes are on the Aberavon game, first game of the season, and I don't think, you know, we can look any further past that, or especially with silverware on the line. And then I think the 2 Swansea games either side of Christmas. You know, everyone, you know, whatever fixtures you look at, whatever team you're a part of, you always look for that rivalry fixture at the new. So, you know, that's the ones where your eyes open up wide, but that Aberavon game is where full focus is for now.
Yeah, I'd agree with Keillen on that. Like, we played them first game of the season last year up there, and we were unlucky. Probably our own discipline cost us a little bit and not to get the win. And then we beat them at home, so we know what they're about, and we know where their strengths are, but we know we're also capable of doing a job as well. So yeah, it's definitely all eyes on that. Swanky's been talking about bringing the shield home a lot in training, so let's see if we can get it done.
Again, he's not here to defend himself. We can say whatever we want about him. Maybe we'll get him on another episode throughout the season. Thanks, boys. Good luck.
Thank you.
It's all right, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was all right.
Yeah, good. That is another episode of The Cauldron done and dusted. Thank you very much to
Nick White.
I was hoping for Trade Centre Wales, but we'll do it. Yeah, thanks again to
Trade Centre Wales.
Oh, I thought you were going to go Nick White that time. Thank you, Nick. Thank you, Keillen. Thank you, Trade Centre Wales. Thank you very much for listening or watching. Check back in the season. I think we're going to do loads of these.
Yeah, hopefully.
And I've said it now, so we have to.
Got to be done.
Bye.